I've analysed Taylor Swift's music video, The Fate of Ophelia, and I've used my experience as an interior designer to spot any references to historic design, and I've put them together as a bedroom decorative scheme. Whilst I had a look at the whole video and I analysed all the different Easter eggs, obviously I want to have a nice tasteful way of tying it into my bedroom scheme, so I do have a plan for this, a little trick up my sleeve that I will reveal at the very end. I basically had a look at the colour palette overall, so we have a lot of very muted colours, the very moody blues and greens, and even some of the reds and orange in some places are quite muted, and then we have some brighter sort of happier scenes as well, and then accents of gold. So those are the colours I will keep referring back to throughout, and then I basically went scene by scene and picked out at least one element from each scene that I wanted to incorporate in my scheme. The first scene you see in this beautiful hotel lobby, this sort of French 18th century inspired style. As a result, want to use that for the structure of my room. So a lot of the wardrobe and the side table, it will have those sort of French 18th century kind of nods, you know, things like cabaret legs and kind of decorative mouldings and things like that. The scene that we then move into is Ophelia. It's the reference to the painting and Taylor's posing as Ophelia, and I really wanted to find something that would reference the moodiness but also the floral theme. So I went and looked for a wallpaper and I found one by Flora Roberts called Midnight Garden. In terms of capturing a moment, a mood, general colour palette, it does that beautifully, and I think it really sets the tone. So that's our wallpaper. Then we move on to the next scene. We have this transition moment where she goes into a gold frame. The gold frame is something that I will use, of course, for framing pictures in the bedroom. And notice there that we do have some little sort of Easter eggs. I will return to that, but I'm keeping it in my mind for the moment. And so then we transition to the Marilyn Monroe moment, and we go into the Showgirl changing room, and it's got those frames with the exposed light bulbs that you find in the sort of changing room setups, and we've got a beautiful little velvet chair in the background with some fringing at the bottom. So those are things I really want to incorporate. The chair pretty much as it is. I think it would be great actually to have a little vanity with pretty much that exact chair there. I think it's a great shape, so I'm gonna pluck that from that scene. The kind of exposed light bulb, it'll be more of a hint when I'm designing the wall sconces. Then we transition into the 60s scene. She's recreating the Ronettes, and that one was probably, I found, the hardest to incorporate in terms of design, you know, picking one element of it, because it is so different to everything else I've incorporated so far, which has been quite historic. But what I really loved is there's a moment where she's dancing and turning, and then all of a sudden there's a diamond shape around her that starts tessellating. So I managed to find a mirror frame that has this diamond effect, and it's green, so it's within our colour scheme, so I really like the idea of incorporating that in the bedroom. The next scene that we go into is probably one of the core ones for my bedroom design. It's the boat scene, you know, the Ulysses' Odyssey, the whole Greek tragedy theme. We've got the boat, the waves, the sky, and so I wanted to dive a little bit more into my trompe-l'oeil idea for the ceiling. I think it would be great to have something quite theatrical, so thinking of having a sky basically painted on the ceiling, to have it quite moody at one end, to have it quite dark and almost like the storm is about to pass. And of course the orange bird is such a big representation, so I think it would be great to have it symbolically sort of flying from one end of the ceiling to the other towards a corner of the sky that is clearing up and the sun is peeking out from behind one of the clouds. What I really want to pick up on as well is there's an embroidered detail on the dress where she has sunburst patterns, so I really want to have that strong geometrical sunburst that's peeking out from behind the cloud. But I think that scene really is a great source of inspiration, so I also wanted to pick up on the waves, and the way I'm incorporating that is a headboard. I've seen some really cool headboards by an interior designer called Rachel Chudley, who does some really unusual interior design, again very theatrical, and so I wanted to take her idea of having a very shaped headboard for the bed, but do it in blue as a wave form. And then because sequins, as we'll see, are a big part of the music video, I thought it'd be quite cool to have maybe the sirens and the boat quite small but embroidered in the headboard somehow, just almost as a little sort of detail that maybe you don't see when you come into the room at first glance. And then to finish off the bed, I thought, since we are on the theme of the Greek tragedy, I thought it'd be quite fun to have all the bedding embroidered with a Greek key pattern. And then to complete it, returning to my little sconces that I mentioned earlier, tie it in with the sea theme. I really want to have a shell-shaped sconce, and then to have the round exposed libel but frosted. And so that's what I'm going to put either side of the bed and then either side of the vanity area, so that there's this cohesion going through the room. The next scene is again aquatic, but this one is a lot more sort of cheerful. It's clearly celebration time. I love the energy of that scene, and you'll notice in the background we have these beautiful swagged curtains, you know, with the sort of nice arch. They've been pulled up to create that shape, and so I really want to use that within the room. I think we already have the nice waves of the headboard. Again, it's a nice way of using those shapes and creating coherence within the decorative scheme. Then what I also would love to use is, you notice this sort of oval shape with the ornamentation where you have some of the dancers sitting, and I really want to use that as the template for the mirror on the vanity. And then in the background you'll notice there's wave-like patterns. Since I already used the Greek key, which I think it would make sense from the same era, you also have the Vitruvian scroll, which is a repeat pattern in the form of a wave. The next scene that we go into is the one where Taylor's reclining on her side and she's tangled up in ropes, and I thought the general sort of shape reminds me of a meridienne, so that's what I'm going to use. And then the passementerie, the fringing that you can have on the meridienne, it's going to be a nod to that moment where she's tangled up in ropes, but it's also going to tie it together with that little chair from the changing room. The next scene is this super over-the-top, joyous, it's of course the Cabaret scene, and you'll notice here again we've got the swagged curtains, so I'm definitely using that. I love them in red. I think that's a nice pop of colour. I want to make sure that the room isn't too moody. What I will do as well is, because we have the feathers and the sequins that keep coming back up, I think I will actually do a little border of feathers on the edge of the swagged curtains, so making them really girly and over the top. The end of the video is Taylor is being pushed down the corridor on a dining room cart, and she is bopping along, and then she gets past a football. Remember this when I reveal the little Easter egg trick up my sleeve that I have to kind of use all of them. Then we finish in the Art Deco bathroom with those lovely greens and the gold accents, and so that is going to be my starting point for a really geometrical, colourful, beautiful rug that will really set the scene for everything else. That's my way of incorporating the bathroom moment and a theme to this whole video and to the whole album. Is I thought we could get some prints of, say, you know, Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, the Ronettes, different people that she keeps referencing, and put them in gold frames as we have at the beginning of the video. I promised you that I would have a way of tying together all of the different Easter eggs. I was thinking there's a really beautiful way of incorporating that in window design, so you can actually use stained glass, and I think that would actually be a really cool way of incorporating all the different sort of references. So I would maybe, you know, if you think of a window with all the different sort of small squares of glass, I would actually have some of them where maybe you have the flaming heart emoji, 100, and then references to their respective numbers, 13, 87, and then I would have maybe a loaf of bread, a peach, the pearls, the football, all of these different things that are kind of private references, all in a stained glass window. I think that would be a really special way of doing it. And I would even maybe paint 13 orange stars, because orange of course is the main colour for the album, and 13 for Taylor's number. So I think that would be really cool in a stained glass design. Alright, so what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Taylor would like this design? Do you think I've been faithful to her video aesthetic? Do you like the room? Would you want to stay there? And then also, it's my first time doing this design video, design challenge. So please let me know if you'd like me to do more of these. I was thinking maybe next month I could do one themed on Wicked. If you liked this and you're interested in decorative arts and interior design in general, they're all things that I cover on this channel. I do interviews with craftspeople, I go to schools that specialize in crafts, I basically take you on a journey to learn more about all of these really special disciplines. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe. Bring this all together. Drake was being noisy again.